So Industry 4.0, I'm going to talk about the first, what are the agendas which I have kept today is about Industry 4.0 and industrial IoT. That's the most important and most heard sought after word that is today in the pandemic time, quickly when we are more towards the automation from our home to the factories. Lots of people are either in a ill stage, they are not able to do their works, because people are not going there due to the various impositions. So we have to look after some solutions which should be leveraging the uses of the technology and do the things in an automated way without much of the human interventions. So this is where this Industry 4.0 solutions come into the place that takes care of the thing from the manufacturing, from the start to end of the life cycle of the product. So it is not just only related to the manufacturing process, but it also takes care of the servicing, the maintenance, and each and everything that the Industry 4.0 solutions take care of. And for leveraging the Industry 4.0, the industrial IoT is the most important thing. We all are hearing of the IoT, but it is something beyond IoT, the industrial IoT that we have discussed in many of our webinars and the classes. If some of you have joined the sessions also, so I have discussed lots of time that what the difference is and what is the beyond thing is there in the industrial IoT is. I'll be discussing a little bit about the implementations of Industry 4.0, but because this session is not about the Industry 4.0, so you rush through on this Industry 4.0 things. And specifically, I will be looking towards the CBM techniques. So what specifications are there in the CBM? Why this is required? And most of people are taking it as a condition-based monitoring, but technically it relates to the condition-based monitoring and maintenances. So both the things I will be taking care of. And then I will be discussing some use cases. And you know that in the factories, the lots of the mechanical machines are being used. So how with the help of the micro electromechanical systems, I'll be with the help of this electromechanical systems, this CBM techniques are implemented. How do we analyze the things? So that's what I'll be taking one use case. And then what are the platforms are available? So if you want to implement the CBM technique for your Industry 4.0 applications, so what are some platforms are available to you? How you can develop the solutions? It is not only electronics, it is not only related to mechanics only. So it relates to a complete of a solution. So that's what the solution that I will be discussing you, that what are the platforms and the technologies are available. And whenever you are going to select any of the solutions or for your implementation of the CBM techniques for your Industry 4.0 applications, so what are the things that you need to take care of? What are your selection parameters and what are the things that you need to take care of while selecting any of the solutions? So these are the things which I have kept for the discussions today. And I hope that it would be very meaningful for if you are working on any of your Industry 4.0 solutions. So these information will be very meaningful for the project's implementation. So starting with the Industry 4.0. So we all know this, that we have going through a revolution, industrial revolution we have been going through. And since the first industrial revolution, we are now in the ages of the cyber systems. So this cyber physical systems relates to the fourth industrial revolution, where it is not only related to the just automations of the processes through the means of your PLC or computer or embedded systems, but it is we are in the age of the cobots actually, where communications are there. Between there is a good combinations of man and machine working together. In the automation, we have only we only talk about the machines doing the processes automatically, but now we are talking the man and machine working together for the implementations of some of the tasks. And in this age of the cyber physical system, it doesn't only relate to the automations of some of your assembly line process or the manufacturing line, but it also adds about the services to your products. So there are lots of layers have been added to your product with the in this is and with the help of the cyber physical systems, which has the embedded solutions, which has the communications, and which has the analytics part. All the three parts are taking care of this in this revolution. And overall, what it does that it not only increases the efficiency of the product's production process, but less of human intervention that is there in this. The less of human intervention means there is a less chance of the errors into the complete process, and we will have the more analytics for our production or for our maintenances or for the products. And where does it affect? So we get this in this Industry 4.0 implementations. We get the lots of opportunities for the manipulations of the data. So this data manipulation relates to the generations of the various meaningful reports for your purposes of the analytics, the intelligence that we can drive into not only our products, but into the whole of the process. And it gives a sense of autonomy. So from the automated factories to we are moving towards the self-decision-making factories. So that's what the best thing that we are getting. So if you will read about the Industry 4.0, it is a synonymous to the smart factories. So it is a German term actually, and it is very synonymous to smart factories. If you're more interested to know about the Industry 4.0, so either you can go to our YouTube channel. There is the there related to the Industry 4.0. Our webinars are there and on industrial IoT. I'm just keeping few of the words related to Industry 4.0 here today. So this Industry 4.0 gives us the three things that is relates to. So first, it gives you the enhancements towards the manufacturing process. So with the help of the various tools, either the hardware tools or the software, with the help of the software tools, it gives you the enhancements towards your manufacturing process, where you have the printers, the cobots and RPA, all the things. And then we have the analytics tools available. So what it does that with the help of this manufacturing process, even you don't have to be there, and with the help of this self-decision making processes which has been designed, every of the product would be unique for that purpose. So like I just take a small example that any of company like Honda is making a car. Honda is making cars for everyone. Right now, what is the process is that Honda will be making the cars of particular specifications with particular color, with particular seat height sizes, and it goes to the distributor's channel, and then it comes to you. Today, if you want a car for yourself of a particular seat height and of a particular color, maybe that car is not available. So what you have to do, either if you are specific about that design and if specific about that color and the seat heights and everything, so you will have to place the orders, and if it's possible, maybe the special design, special make could be done for you at a very huge cost. That is the process is. But if it is a complete Industry 4.0 implementations are there. So if the Honda is able to produce the car for yourself, a unique car for yourself without changing his assembly line, this could be Industry 4.0 implementations in the manufacturing line. Same way, this thing can leverage into the hospitality industry, where you go to the hotel reception, and just by identifications of the automated in an automated way, your room could be decided, your temperature level in the room will be set as per your requirement, your preferred food items will be ordered or maybe listed in your menu. So these things are related to the service integrations into the Industry 4.0 implementations. In delivery services, we can look at towards the delivery processes of the Amazon or Flipkart, where the Industry 4.0 implementations are there, where for each and every packet, the tracking of each and every packet is quite different way from the normal courier services. In normal courier services, what happens that you get the hop by hop informations, means once the courier packet moves from one hop to another hop, then you get the update about your informations. And if the courier company wants to track in real time that how many packets here they are delivering on time, it would be quite typical for them, because at the end of the delivery end, when the product is, when the courier packet is being delivered, there is a no real time tracking is being done. But just think of the Blue Dart delivery or maybe the Amazon delivery. There in the real time, the trackings are been done. And if the courier guy is at your doorstep, you get the message that the courier guy is at your doorstep. This is your OTP. You have to pay this much amount, and in the real time, the things are being taken care of. So if the top level management of Amazon sitting in his headquarter, if he wants to track the things of a real-time deliveries, he could easily do this thing, because this is the implementation is Industry 4.0. But is this only the tracking is related to the Industry 4.0? So definitely not. The architecture which I'm talking about, that from the lower end to the uppermost layer, the both way communication is possible into this Industry 4.0 implementations. And this all is being done through the real-time monitoring. So whether it is the service industry, whether it is the manufacturing industry, whether it is the maintenance services, whether it is the app-based services you are maintaining. So Industry 4.0 is just a term now, and which initiated with the factory and the manufacturing terms, but now it is implemented in all of the industry domains. So this gives us about the enhancements not only towards how the manufacturing processes, but towards the products also. So there is another layer that is being added on the product. Like for an example, many of you have worn the watches. So watches like the Titan watches or maybe the HMT watches you must have heard of. So they're the watches that you purchase from the shops, and it is just that you are using in your hand, in your wrist, you wear it, and just you are using it for the time purposes, or maybe some alarm features are there. But think of an Apple Watch. There is a product, the watch is still the product, is the watch, but on top of that there is a service layer that is been added, and now you are in a direct communication with the Apple. So tomorrow if Apple wants to share some update with you, he can share the update in real time. Tomorrow if Apple decides that I'll be showing some ads on my watch, and by viewing those ads you can earn some revenue, means if you view those ads you can get some credits, and those credits are in terms of the revenues. So that could be a very meaningful way of integrations of the services with the product, and these all things are happening. I'm not talking about the hypothetical things that these things will happen. These all things are there in your in front of your eyes, whether it is the hospitality industry example which I have taken. Even we have implemented these kind of solutions in lots of hotels where about this Industry 4.0 implementations which I have. Thereafter, the delivery packages which I have talked about. So these solutions are there in front of you. You need to tap, you need to look after the technologies and the platforms which are available through which you can implement have the if you have this conditions in front of you. So these things, is the products, and this thing is being done with the help of the cloud integration. So leveraging thing is the IIoT, the industrial IoT, and this Industry 4.0 implementations leads us from the hard to the soft things, like adding the digital services into this on the top layer of the product. We are adding the digital services, which I have talked about, and that becomes a very good source of revenue. Not only for the manufacturer or the company, but for the customers also. In the business model, there is one more thing that we get into the industry 4.0 is about the predictive maintenances. So which Mr. Ajit has talked just before. So you get a very good saving into this. So normally what happens that you have a preventive maintenances where you have a scheduled maintenance services of your machines. Maybe just I take an example of your home itself. You all of you are using the air conditioning devices in your home. And what happens that normally you have a scheduled maintenances of a 2 months, like in the summers, if you are using the air conditioning device. So twice in the summer period or thrice in the summer period, once at the beginning of the summer period, and another in the mid of the summer period, and another, a third one at the end of the summer period. You do the maintenance of the air conditioning devices. That's what is a general schedule that we maintain. And what happens that this time the summer was really very chilly, the temperature was really soaring, and the air conditioning device was used much beyond its efficiency level. So normal, for an example, generally it is adapted for a 40 degree centigrade, the environmental temperature, but this year maybe it was 50 degrees centigrade for a longer amount of a time period, though it was not there, but still I'm taking the examples. So on 50-degree environmental temperature, it has worked for maybe a month or over a month. So efficiency has been used much. But what happens that if I have scheduled maintenances for our air conditioning devices, so maybe the efficiency of our device is lowered, maybe because I have used the efficiency of the device at a higher capacity for a longer amount of time for which it is not adapted to. So, but if I have a preventive maintenance schedules, if I have a scheduled maintenance features, so for maybe for 1 month, the efficiency was used at a higher of the rate, and that the efficiency of the machines has dropped down. If I am not analyzing the efficiency of our air conditioning device by any of the means, so maybe it will be consuming more of the current because of the lower of the efficiency of the motors or maybe the vibrations are happening. So that will be reducing the life per product. So what happens that preventive maintenance doesn't give you the guarantee, and the preventive maintenance, this scheduled maintenance which I'm talking about, doesn't ensure you about the best utilizations of the resources. But in place of this, if I have this CBM technique over there, if I have predictive maintenance kind of a feature over there, so before the efficiency will drop down beyond a certain level of my air conditioning device, I can get it maintained. So this will be doing what? This will be saving a lots of cost to us. Why? How? So this I will be showing you in further of the slides, that how this thing is going to affect you. Production efficiency, that definitely will be there, because if there is a less of human interventions and lots of automation things are there, so production efficiency increase, need not to discuss about it. And the last and the most important feature that Industry 4.0 gives you about the interactions. So it is a cyber physical systems which I have talked about, and with the help of these CPS systems, everyone remains in a communication at each of the time. And from the top layer to the bottom layer, the both way communications are there, which I'll just show you. And for what it makes, so at the end, this implementation makes the every of the product unique and customized for each of the user. So, but important line over here that it is without changing. If I'm talking about the as manufacturing processes, so without changing the assembly line. If I'm talking about the services, so without changing the processes, the product, the service becomes unique and customized. So that's how this implementations gives us. So it is actually the integrations of the horizontal and the vertical processes. It is the integrations of the hard products towards to the soft processes, and that will make a complete implementations. So the soft processes are towards your analytics and the algorithms which you run, and the hard process is related to the monitoring and the maintenances. So this monitoring will be through a complete systems. It is not just a one or two set of sensors, or maybe just one or two set of embedded machines. It is actually this complete becomes a system, and that system is there for your equipments for each, and if it is a hard, so for each and every equipment, and that's how the implementations are there. So just for your reference, I have kept one more slide over here about the differences of the architecture from a normal factory process to a factory where the Industry 4.0 implementations are there. So if I'm talking about the factory, because it is the more of a manufacturing related things that we are in the discussions, but what the thing is that it is whatever I will be discussing is related to the services also. So if from the normal factory, if you see, so you have the machines and the PLC systems are there, and then those machines, the PLC and HVAC systems are there on your machines, or for your monitorings, or for your conditioning maintenances. Like the heating or ventilations and air conditioning devices are there. If it is infrastructure, the HVAC devices are there. If these are the machines, the manufacturing machines, so PLC systems are there. And on top of that, there are the human machine interfaces, human machine interfaces are there. So how will you deal with the PLC system? So for that, the interfacings are designed, and that will be the HMI interfaces are there that remains connected to the SCADA systems. So through the SCADA systems, with the help of the HMI interfaces, the SCADA systems are there for your monitoring purposes, the real-time monitoring purposes, where the human are intervening into it, either for the reporting purposes or for the control purposes. And then there on top of the SCADA system, so there are the mesh are there, the mesh automation systems are there, through which, and in most of the will see the mesh systems are there maintained manually. So the office, the stationary punchings are being done, and whatever the management decides, like if it is a factory who manufactures certain products, like if it manufactures maybe some chairs, the plastic chairs. So the company has decided that I will be making the 100 chairs per day, for an example. So mesh system will prepare, will take the note and inform the SCADA system about to feed the production ratio of 100 chair every day of maybe color green. But what happened that and the mesh system takes a periodic note of each and everything, and that gets fed into the ERP. Generally, it remains the ERP, but some of the Industry 4.3 automotive implementations have the cloud implementations also. Cloud is not always necessary, but till ERP, it remains in a generic industry process. But tomorrow, what happened that the management has got some new orders to produce the chip of red color, for an example, and of a quantity of 200. So what it has to do, it has to reduce the production of green color and increase the production of red color chairs, because it has to give 200 chairs every day of a red color. But this thing needs to be implemented. This thing needs to be informed to the mesh system, and from the mesh, until and unless it won't be fed to the SCADA, this thing won't be start processing. So what will happen if there is a delay in the feeding of the things, in the feeding of the data, till that time, the green chair will keep producing into the factory, and that may lead to the revenue loss to the company. And there is also that this is a one-way communication that happens step by step. So if directly the management, the management from the ERP level wants to communicate with the PLC level to know the real-time production things, like if it is a general automated factory I'm talking about, if the top level management wants to gather the information in real time about that, what is the production ratio, what is the how many number of products are being on the line, how many number of products are discarded. He won't be able to get it until and unless the MES system won't inform about it. And for each and every industry, there is a particular schedule about the MES has been in the MES system has been maintained. So there is a no two-way communication, and there is a no real-time information that the top level management can gather about. But once I'm talking about the Industry 4.0 implementations, so we have the 4 layers here also. And in this 4 layer, it is related to the layer by layer implementation. So first it is the things. So here every of the physical item is being replicated into the replicated through the means of some electromechanical systems, or maybe the electronic systems, the things that is the representation. So like if it is your fridge in an example, or maybe just an machine in your factory. So that machine will be replicated through its parameters into a complete system. And with the help of that replicated system, that will be thing that I am talking about here, the real-time information about that will be completely gathered. And how this real-time information can be gathered with the help of this CBM technique that I'm going to let you know today. So like for an example, if it is a machine, so it will have the various parameters, like how much of the production efficiency it has, what is the noise ratio it has, how much amount of current it is taking, what is the voltage it is operating on. There are lots and lots of parameters are there. Now you may have asked the question that this is there in the PLC and the HMI interfaces also, but yes, but there is a no CPS system in this that is implemented in generic industry process. Here in this, we are implementing the CPS systems, and that's why the top level management means the outer layer. The top level management is the outer layer that I'm talking about. They are there, the business systems, the customer interaction processes are there, the operating systems for the whole process is there, and the SCADA systems, those are on the top layer, will be communicating with the lowest levels of the machines in the real time and can know about the information. So for that, we have the implementations of the libraries, the software, the hardware elements are there. Thereafter, on top of that, the software agents are being implemented. And then we have the protocols, the industrial IoT protocols are there, which integrate our machines through the cloud, and then we are gathering the data. So this is a two-way communication that we have, and we can gather the data in the real time. So how this real-time gathering of the data, and with the help of what we are doing this gathering of real-time of our data, what the benefit that we can achieve with it. So these things are actually considered under the benefits of your applications. And the thing that is being discussed over here means how do we do this, is this condition-based monitoring that I'm taking care of. So just from my talk previous, you must have gathered this information that what this preventive and predictive maintenance that I was talking about. In a normal of the systems, we have the preventive maintenance features where either we have a scheduled maintenance, or we keep waiting for the machine to get broken. And once this broken thing, so then we do the maintenance of it. So we make some kind of a scheduled maintenance cycle so that the machine had. That's it only. So this is a generic Intel Industry 3.0 implementations. But now with the help of this CBM techniques, it is a more of a process and the system implementations. We are doing the things which will make the process that the machine won't go bad. And not only it will go bad, but we will be using the machine at its own maximum efficiency. So through the continuous monitoring, this predictive maintenance could be possible. And then through the various categorization processes, we can do the level-wise implementations, that which one is your most critical item which can go bad, which needs monitoring. Thereafter, the mid-level items like the bearings, motors. Thereafter, the most critical equipment like the communication lines. So we do the categorizations of the things, and based on which we implement the CBM algorithms and the solutions to do the predictive maintenances. So this enables a strategy for our continuous monitoring of the equipment, and not only the equipment but the machines, because whenever you are implementing the solutions, you always have to make a categorization that whether the machine performance is going down or a particular equipment performance is going down. So this CBM, through the CBM, you also have to differentiate and categorize related to the equipments and the machines. Definitely, it is the first priority goes towards the equipments, because the combinations of your equipments makes the complete machine. So equipment wise analysis, if you are able to do, and that's what the generic discussion remains, so you will be able to completely diagnose about the machine also. But always, wherever you will be implementing the CBM techniques for your solutions, so you will be differentiating between your equipment and the machines. The solutions are little more different for both of them, because when we talk about the machines and when we talk about the equipments, there is a small difference of the platforms are there related to the implementations. So this thing always you have to keep in mind. So just for a small description here, what about the CBM? So this CBM is not only a sensor only, and it is not only related to the motors or mechanical things which we generally think of, like related to vibrations or anything. It has a wide variety of the implementations for the monitoring purposes. So it starts from the sensors and signal chain devices to, because at the end of the day, you need an eye and ear on your machines so that you can gather the information. So for that, the sensors and signaling devices are there, which will give you the information, the continuous information about the machines. So it starts with sensors to the embedded software designs, like the so embedded platforms that you use, the microcontrollers that you use for communicating with your sensors and gather the information. Then you have the algorithms implemented in your most of the embedded platforms, and then from your embedded platform to the either the edge computing level or to the cloud computing level, the algorithms are there, which do the analysis of a time analysis and the frequency analysis. Both the things are being done, like for a motor, if I'm talking about. And then it is the it also relates to the mechanical system designs, because most of the MEMS based designs that we are looking at while implementing the CBM technique. So my mechanical system designs are also there, through which either you can do the maintenances in a remote manner, whether the human intervention is not required at all. You can do the maintenances in a remote manner, or maybe you can implement some mechanical system. So the next time, the more of the performance measurements or the automated maintenance of the machines could be possible. So normally what happens generally, if you see the left side curve, so normally whenever you purchase a product, so there is a warranty coverage is there, and thereafter you have the time-based maintenances. So you have a preventive maintenance and a monitoring kind of a thing, where after each of a scheduled time period, you maintain your machine. And thereafter, after certain time periods, like of a time period like a 3 years or 6 years, whatever the machine life is, after that it comes to a potential failure. So means it can fail at any of the time. Not it will fail completely, but there might be multiple failure conditions would occur. Like for an example, if your air conditioning device, if I take an example, so maybe the gases condition will leak. Maybe the current is not that much for your device. Maybe the motor will have some issue. So there are the lots of condition-based things will occur, which you will do the maintenances, and then at the end, the functional failure of your device happens. So this is a generic process, industry process that it remains. Here, CBM is not used for condition-based monitoring. It is for the condition-based maintenance that we have used. So we can automate this thing a bit. Even if in the industry 3.0 implementations, we can automate the things a bit, but it will not be relating to the continuous monitoring of the things, so that you can increase the performance. if I see the this thing on a curve of a cost or the risk involved with it. So as the life of the machine is increasing, as we have the more and more condition-based maintenances are required. So like your asset conditions uh, are making your life of the machine going to decrease. Uh, our cost and risk with the machine is increasing. And it might start with the mechanical failures to it goes to the electrical and electronic failures of the machines, and at the end it fails completely. But here, once this mechanical failure has started, means the mechanical failure conditions is started, if I have been monitoring the things from the beginning, from the time when the defect was initiated or even before of that, I would have put the machine in such a condition that it won't go in a potential failure stage very easily. Like if the vibration has started, so maybe if I will be analyzing the vibration previously, so I can put some level of solution so that the vibration would be depreciated. If bearing problem is there, so I could have replaced the bears previously so that the more of the current draw won't be happening by the system. If the more of the current draw won't happen, so the temperature won't increase, it will remain in the conditions of what it was purchased at the time of the purchase, and the life of the machine could be longer. So it not only increases this continuous monitoring, not increases the life of your things, life of your products, but at the same time, it gives a very good revenue profit also. So it starts, this CBM starts with the sensors, but it integrates the embedded software solutions that has the local and the remote analysis algorithms through which you do the analysis. And nowadays, AI methods are used for predictions of the things that when it is going to be bad. And then we have the either the manual maintenances or the automated maintenances processes. And this all is making the complete CBM technique. So that's why I'm calling it a complete system level solutions. So just for an example, like I'm taking an example of a motor, because most of the rotatory things are there in the factories if I'm talking about. So 90% of the rotatory items have these, some motors are there. So what could be the sources for the failures, means where these motors can go bad, and what are the parameters that we can take for the continuous monitoring if I'm implementing the solution for us. So it starts with the noise things. So the noise could be either due to the misalignments of the fittings, the imbalances, the soft footing. So with the mounting bases could happen, that will lead to the imbalances. The cavitations in the gearboxes of the motors, the bearings, maybe the bearings will be going bad, and that will be creating the cavitations into its inner and outer layers. And apart from the mechanical things, so we have these. So these things needs to be monitored on a continuous basis, so that you can know. And how you will know that this thing has happened? So there must be some source, there must be some a parameter which you need to monitor, and that for that we have the CBM technique. And apart from that, it will have the poor performance of the motor, will have the poor magnetic fields. The current draw will increase by the motor. You can see if the current draw is increasing and motor is misbehaving, so temperature of your motor will increase. The acoustics patterns that you can monitor. So these are the various parameters. So it will, so if the vibrations are there, if the noises are there, so acoustic parameters of your motor will be changing from the original one. So these are the parameters which could be used for your CBM. And with the analysis of all these things, you can predict about the performance and the failure conditions of your device. So just for an example, I'm taking a thing, the vibration analysis, and how this could be done. So using a MEMS you are familiar with, I hope, the micro electromechanical systems I'm talking about. So nowadays, if you see, the most of the sensors and the solutions are being designed using these MEMS technique, and lots of the semiconductor companies are designing the solutions for this. So you can go through it, MEMS solutions. So for each and every kind of industries, the MEMS solutions are available now, starting from the sensors to the complete systems, starting from a nanometers of a range to it goes into the millimeters. So I was talking about the motors, and what are the things that the motor means here in the right side, if you can see. So what are the what are the components that fail mostly in the case of the motors? And there is just a study that I'm sharing with you. So the motor has the various components, starting from the coils to bearings to the rotors, stators, bearings, everything is there. But out of that, about 51% failure happens about the bearings. So this is just a study by IEEE, Petroleum and Chemical Industry paper. And so this is the most, this is the mid-level criticality of the thing, is because if the bearings are at a fault for a longer amount of a time, so this will increase the electrical parameters of the things, and later on the vibration, because it will increase the vibrations into this, into the motor, and noise will happen, and then this noise and vibration will lead to increment into the electrical consumptions. So the current consumptions will increase. So that's why this is a critical thing which needs to be monitored. So why I am discussing this, because for each and every, whenever you are designing the solutions for your Industry 4.0, and you are taking care of any of the monitoring element, so for whatever the machine or whatever the process that you are monitoring, you will have to justify that which of the thing, which of the element, which of the component I need to monitor continuously, based on which I can give the prediction in a better way about the performance and the failures. Like we could have just monitored about the voltage and the temperatures also, but that has only the 60% impact. We could have monitored only the windings things also, the windings condition also, but it has only 16% impact. But if I have the monitoring the bearing, so that has 51% impact of this on the life of the motor. So that's why this these things needs to be taken care of for the monitoring, that what are the component is at the most of the chance of the failure, and that requires the continuous CBM, continuous monitoring. So the basic monitoring methods start with the just time and frequency monitoring, but it is not only related to the time and frequency. We can go into the deep of this. So what happens that in case of the motor vibrations, if I'm talking about, so you see that whenever you give the ignitions, so initially we have a fundamental initial frequencies, and if there is then we have a small vibration ranges, that is in the range of the kilohertz are there. And once the due to the various conditions, either due to the fault conditions, or maybe the non-performing behaviors, so some of the time the frequency graphs are increasing. We have to keep monitoring of these spikes, that what is the behavior of these spikes are, and based on this we can design an algorithm that about the performance behaviors. So the two things that we take care of about the time, so this amplitude will be giving you about the displacements that has happened due to the vibrations, due to the noise, the how much the displacement that has happened, and the amplitude that we can gather, and then the frequency that will be there, that we are gathering, and the spikes. And once we once we combine the time and frequency both, so we can have the multiple instances. So you can see here I have shown you the multiple instances, Like these are the normal spikes that could have, but at frequent intervals, you can see the spikes are there. And we can, based on the behavior of these spikes, we can have the analytics method, and then we generate the warnings and the alarm conditions. Like initial spike that we can just leave off because of the ignition stages, but later on at a frequent intervals, the high spikes are coming off, and this informs us that the vibrations are there into this. So if that spike is going beyond the particular ranges which I have set, like here I have said that it is normal in the range of 10, but if it is beyond of that, so then we can generate the warning conditions that maintenance is required, and based on this, the alarm conditions are generated for the failures. So we can just calculate about the accelerations also. So this is the formula. Okay, this minus is so this is the formula for us, where F is the frequency and D is the displacement of your amplitude. So D is the amplitude of your vibration, sorry. So normally the 1 kilohertz vibration of a 1 micrometer of amplitude of displacement causes around 39.5 gram of your accelerations. So this is just the basic analytics method that we apply, and this has been implemented through any of the algorithm, like just by measuring the frequency of your things that you can do about the CPM. So, but if I have to go into the deep, like component-wise monitoring, if I have to do, so for that, then we have to implement the various sensors. And for that, like here, I'm talking about the noise thing. So for that, the low power sensors are there for which monitors about the bandwidths of the things and the noise of the things. So bearing I was talking about, so you can see here that the bearings are there in this motor, and there is the outer race and inner race is there. And there is some defect, which I have seen over here. So in the stage 1 of this, there is a high frequencies presence is there, and you can see here the cavitations. So very low amplitude of the displacement is there. So typically the frequency is very high, but amplitude is very low. So this is in the stage 1 of the a defect. But later on, if I have not taken care of it, here you are getting the defect. Normally through the mechanical systems, you will not know about this. But if you have implemented the CBM techniques through your sensors, you can detect this thing because of the frequency will become very high at this case, and amplitude is low because there is no high cavitations are there. But as this thing will keep increasing, as this defect is keep increasing, you can see that this leads to the decrement into the frequency, as I have shown you over here. The frequencies are decreasing, spikes are increasing and decreasing here, but the modulations are there. The lots of some of same spikes are coming up, and there is one more thing that will happen. So it will be increasing the amplitude. Your amplitude will keep increasing, and because it is in the multiplication factor, so it will be giving you higher acceleration, and this acceleration is directly proportional to the square of the frequency. So that's why for each of these increment into the defect, the frequencies will increase in the magnitude, and this will lead to the further. So till here, it is the mechanical failures, the defect frequencies increases in the magnitude, but later on it will be affecting the other parameters like the current and the temperature conditions for you. So these are the multiple stages of the defect that might occur. And if you have started monitoring from the first stage, from this stage, you can give the solution about the maintenance is better. Otherwise, at the stage 4, the failure is imminent and you will not be able to recover the thing. So here the complete loss will occur. So that's why the things, that's why we implement the technique, so that during the stage 1 to stage 2, we can do the analysis and cover up our things. So that's why this these things will occur, like maybe due to these imbalances or misalignments, the frequency will be little lesser. But once this maybe due to the bearings, so the high of the frequency events will occur, and that will be sensed over a time period. So how do we do this thing? So for this purpose, we have a range of parameters, and for measuring of all those parameters, we have to implement the solutions. So actually for this, we do a kind of a survey. So continuous monitoring means doing a continuous survey of the conditions of the devices, and that leads to the decision of the whether the fault is emerging on the machine or the equipment. So it is done with respect to the time and the frequency. So if you will be looking for the solutions, so I'll just discussing some analog devices you must have heard of. So there are the lots of solutions are there from the analog devices. You can go to their website and you will find the platforms and the chipsets available on the CBM from the analog devices. So it has the very high bandwidth ranges. The measurement ranges are there, the solutions, and these are the chips that I've shown you over here. So these are the MEMS sensors available for the vibration. So ADXL 1001 and ADXL 356, 357. So these are there for the vibration analysis purpose. So what are the parameters it looks for the analysis? So it is very the noise, the stability should be there over temperature, and the life of the sensor should be there. There are the multi-axis sensings are required once you are because accelerometer I was talking about. So there are the multiple accesses are required for the measurements, and very smaller form factors are there. So these are the things that you need to see, and it is available in their chipsets. Here, just by some examples, I have shown you that how frequency signals creating the accelerations, and what is the benefit that we have with the help of the measurement ranges. So if we have only the very smaller measurement ranges, so we will not be able to detect about the more of the predictive conditions. But if we are having the displacements and wider frequency ranges, so if we are able to detect those things, bandwidth we have, so then we will be able to predict and analyze better. So wider bandwidth and lower noise. So if we have the wider bandwidth available, but even if the amplitude is very low, and but we are able to detect that this is the initial stage of the wear, which you can see over here, that we have the higher the frequencies, but the amplitude were very low. So this was in the initial stage of the defect, and we can do the maintenances better. So whenever we are implementing the CBM solutions on our machines, so these 4 parameters are very necessary. So where do we place it? Where the placement of our sensing solutions, the CBM solution onto the machine is very important. And if we prefer to place it at the vibration source, that would be the best one. So for that you require the MEMS-based solution, like bearing I was talking about. So if I'm keeping the solution near to the bearing, so I will be able to gather the information better. If I'm making the solution for the measurements of the winding condition, so near to the winding, if I'm putting the solution, that would be better. So that's why the MEMS-based solutions are there. And if you will go through their profile, you will find the chipsets which is there for each and every kind of the conditions. Attachment is critical. So whenever you are putting the solution on your machine, the mountings are very much important, because the attachment is required for maximizing the energy transfer across the desired bandwidth. And if you are not putting if your attachment is bad, so the machine, the sensing source will itself will have a huge vibration, and your measurements will be wrong in that case. The vibration waves are directional, that you know that from the this is a particular directional. So whenever you are placing, like for a motor, there is a particular direction of the movements are there. So once you are placing your solution on the system, so you have to look at that what is the directions of the vibrations, and your measurement should be in the direction. If you will doing the opposite side, so that definitely that the identification and the distinguishing will be typical for you. And then at the end is the size. So for that, it has to be very smaller form factor, and resonance should not occur. If the resonance is there in the solution, so that will degrade the quality of the data because of the vibration factors, and you will not be able to identify and diagnose the critical conditions. So what are the 4 things that you require for a CBM solution development? So it starts from the sensors. So those sensors will have the features for the measurement of the wide bandwidth of the ranges. Thereafter, it should not be very noisy. The sensing should not be very noisy. The low noise should be there. The temperature stability is required. It has to be multi-axis sensing, and the smaller form factors. The multi-axis sensing is required for your accelerometers, which I have talked about. And then you require the complete a good power management. So the power management systems are also available from the LTC chips, from the analog devices you can look at. And then the sampling means how frequently you are gathering the data. So that thing is needs to be taken care of in this CBM solution. And then at the end, it comes the packaging of your complete solution in a way so that the form factor will remain very small, and it has to be very sturdy in the sense of the placements. And so here are certain of the platforms available from the analog devices, which for the hardware platforms, and from the software platform is also there. So wireless platforms are there, wireless CBM platforms are there, which could be used not only for the gathering of the data from the various of the sources, but also you can do the analysis of it. So here is one chip, one solution is there, the ADXL 3021. So this is the accelerometer sensing that, and it has the time and frequency domain modes both. You can do the samplings at a very high rate of a 220K, and we can have the real-time streamings of the data. For the controls, we have the FETs over here, and the manual and automatic FETs both are available. It has a wide range, as you can see, from the -40 degree to 105 degrees centigrade. So it's a good operating range that we have for the industrial purposes. And if you want to synchronize your data, so it supports the external clock also. There is one solution platform that is of the wireless CBM platform. So in this is a third version number 3 is now of this. VOES 3 is the version number now available from the analog devices for the wireless CBM platforms. And it is a dual axis, which with the range available up to 10 kilohertz, and 3 axis is available for the 1.5 kilohertz options. It has a very robust wireless link, and you can gather the data in a real time from your machines using by means of the wireless communications. And the software platforms are also available for the analysis. That is a GUI platform, and hardware platforms, hardware boards are there. which has the MEMS-based solutions, and the chipsets that you can see over here. The boards are there, and using this, the data has been gathered. So what we get the benefit using the CBM, if I'm talking about the factory, so we by continuous monitoring, we can have a highest return on the investments for our machines. We can ensure the better operational efficiencies, and before the machine will be going bad, before the efficiency will be decreased, we can do the maintenances, and we can keep the machines in line for our production, and we can use the optimizations of the resources. Whereas for the service industries, this CBM technique gives you the machine capabilities. If you are into the OEM, or if you are a maintenance provider, so your machine capabilities will keep continuously monitored. It will improve. The processes and systems will be optimized, and you can always capture the new revenue models, because the service layers are there. And each of the time, if you are continuously monitoring your processes, so you can always tap that what is the new revenue model that you have. So this is the benefit that we are having with the help of this Industry 4.0 CBM techniques implementations. So for this, if you are going to implement the thing, so you need to look at towards the various of the sensors, the embedded solutions, the kind of wireless platforms, the cloud solutions. So all these integrated will make a complete a CBM solution. And then with the help of the AI, you can have a good predictive analysis of the things. So these all technologies are required whenever you are going to implement any of the Industry 4.0 solution using the CBM techniques. So this is a one part for the continuous monitoring, and this is a complete system in itself, which has the software layer, which has the hardware layer, and the embedded layer inside it. So this was it for the session today. Now I'm ready to take the questions from you. So if you have the questions, you can put it in the chat window. I'll try to answer your. There is